Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Passing the Torch, a professional jeweler teaches, and I'm Steph the jeweler. So, we have been working on a custom sterling silver brooch. It's going to have tourmalines and CZs in it, and it is stunning. It's a takeoff composition wise of a royal piece that the customer just loves. So, we are just using that as an inspiration, and we're doing our own version. I am a 30-year retail jeweler for people that don't know me yet. I've been doing this so long, I feel like it's time for me to pass the torch and teach you guys how to be a jeweler or to have your own jewelry business. So today we are in the middle of assembly of this brooch, and I can't pick it up yet to show you the picture. I'll show it to you at the end. We've been cutting out all the pieces in sterling. I have took out a tourmaline to get a head to fit. We're going to have three other tourmalines over here that are about 4 millimeter, and then some little 3 millimeter CZs as decoration, a little sparkle. And so what we're going to do now is get everything prepped and ready and start soldering and assembling. So my biggest tool that I use and need every time. This is my visor. Most jewelers wear a visor. A lot of jewelers even have microscopes. I'm at my home studio right now. Even at my retail studio, I do not have a microscope at this time. I think it'd be fun to get one. I've always wanted one. I just have been too cheap to buy myself one. I haven't needed it yet. But I don't do a ton of pave setting. That's what you need that for a lot, or the micro setting. So, but I do set diamonds all day long, do a lot of repair, custom, things of that nature. So, all right, so I'm going to put on my visor so I can see what I'm doing here. All right, so this is a bench pin, and this is what we were using to saw out all our pieces. This is a soldering block and non-asbestos. They don't even make it asbestos, I think, anymore, but I'm not sure what this material is. Some kind of, porous looking, maybe ceramic. I'm not sure. These are little pieces of sheet solder. These are sterling silver. This one is easy and it is marked. I'll show you how they're marked. Let's see if you can see the words. You see where it says easy? Is it working? See that? Easy. Easy and hard means the different temperature flows. Easy will melt much easier, obviously, than hard will. Hard is for your really tough seams, things that you want to be super strong. Because when you heat something up, if a solder seam will flow first, and you're trying to attach something to it, then it'll fall apart before you even get a chance to put it together. So usually you will assemble with hard and you put your details on with easy. So, or when you're sizing a ring, you always use hard. So you have a nice strong joint at the back. So it won't come apart on you. So that's good to know. This is a charcoal block. Now when you're working with sterling, this is invaluable. They're inexpensive. Get yourself a nice charcoal block. What it does is sterling is unique in that you have to heat the whole area before one piece of solder will flow, that will melt. And so what the charcoal does is radiate heat back up into the piece because it cools off very quickly. So when you're assembling, if you assemble on a charcoal block, you actually get a nicer solder. It goes a little faster for you. A lot of jewelers do not like to work in sterling because it is difficult. If you don't know all the tips and tricks, that's what I will teach you. So that'll be a lot of fun. This is Flux, this bottle here, okay? It is like a liquid glass, and I use it in a dispenser. As you can see, it has a point on it, so I can get really detailed where I put the flux at. And what it does is when it heats, it smooths out and keeps the metal clean. Have you ever seen silver when it turns black? It oxidizes. It's like the chemicals in the air and the moisture make the surface of the metal. It's not all of the metal, it's just on the surface. Turn a color like black. But what that does is if you're trying to solder something and it turns black, the solder won't flow. The solder will not flow where it's dirty. And so sometimes we use that as a tool intentionally, which I might do at the end of assembly when I am assembling on the brooch back. We might do that as to show you that application. But yeah, you have to keep it as clean as possible, and we do preventatives to keep the silver from tarnishing. So this is a mixture of denatured alcohol and boric acid. So you would have like 1 part boric acid to 2 parts denatured alcohol. And this is super flammable. It is a fuel source. So, but what we do is we coat our silver pieces with it and catch it on fire, and it puts on a preventative coating to keep our metal from tarnishing or turning black and getting a fire scale, which makes it really black. Now, keep in mind, disclaimer, what I'm showing in these videos is for entertainment purposes only. I will be having classes or maybe even having a video showing you how to properly do this. You need to know how to use your equipment or you will blow yourself up literally. It's crazy. You have to be so careful. So please understand, I'm just giving you an introduction. I'm not telling you to do this at this time. I need to train you properly before you can do that. So, but that what this is doing is giving you a glimpse into what it is we jewelers do every day. We do the same process with gold, except we don't use the charcoal block. But we use the same solutions, the same flux and everything, just like you would on gold. Now, this is a solution I have mixed in this little bottle here of, this is called pickle. And it's just like in the big steel mills that they use for steel, but we don't use steel in this business. Usually it's non-ferrous metals, which are non-iron containing metals, but this is it's like it's like a weak acid, and it eats off the fire scale when you are done with your solder. So that's pretty cool. This is our torch. As you can see, there are 2 lines going to it, red and green. I use an oxygen propane mix. Propane is a very clean burning gas, but it is also very dangerous. It is a liquid gas. So if it leaks, it rolls on the ground and spreads, catches on fire. It blows up jeweler buildings. I live near Chicago, and that happened a number of years ago, and it actually tore up one of my friend's suites. It ruined his business, so it's pretty awful. So you have to be super careful. I'm not saying that's what happened to him. I think what happened is another person had that accident, but the fire took out his place as well. But anyway, so I have an automatic lighter at my work studio. We're at our home studio tonight working on this because I work at nights too. I work for myself. I have my own small studio, and it was great. So I could raise my kids and still work. And now my boys are grown, but I love the flexibility. It's awesome. So anyway, I do light this butt with a hand clicker. I'll show you how to do that, a flint striker. All right, so I think for the soldering, that's pretty much everything that we need. So we spent the last couple of videos cutting out our leaves and our flowers that we use. I got to take the paper off these guys real quick. That was for our paper model. And we used rubber cement to put it on. And it should just come right off. It just, yeah, see? Here we go. See? It just peels right off. And it does not leave a residue. It's a very clean adhesive, which is really wonderful. Let's just double check. I don't think, yeah, some of them do still have the paper on it. Let me take that off because we don't want to smoke up the basement with burning paper. Set off fire alarms. We don't want to do any of that. Let's double check. Yep, I still have paper on these leaves. So there we go. Took that off. If you hear somebody talking, that is my son. He's home tonight. So if you hear voices, that's what it is. All right. So getting the paper. I did not realize I left all that paper on. So this is a whole series on this project. I actually show in these videos, I'm working trade work. This is for a customer. So you will see actual work for actual customers, what we're doing. Today we're working on sterling. We do a lot of work with gold, diamonds, gemstones. Today we're doing, today we are doing sterling silver. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to do this in bits. And we're only going to solder things together in bits and then assemble. I do want to show you this beautiful tourmaline though. I don't know if you can see it. Tourmaline comes in all colors of the rainbow. It's so beautiful. I'm going to flip this one over and show it to you. This is a real light peachy pink. Get it up close so you can see. Isn't that gorgeous? So we're going to have a big one. Then we're going to have a couple small ones. We'll do that in the studio possibly tomorrow. Look at the back. Isn't that beautiful? Well, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to also set CZs in this pendant as well. So let me always put your small pieces, your stones into these little plastic bags. I tell you what, if you don't, you will lose them and you'll be very sad. Okay. Drop them on the floor, and jewelers spend half of their life crawling on the floor looking for things. I kid you not. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to give you an example. So I am going to, on this flower, you see the flower petal here that we cut out? This is the head that I'm going to use. I went ahead and got a pre-made head because you can make them yourself, but it takes forever. So there's no artistry in this, so I do purchase these. And I get everything wholesale, so maybe down the road I'll sell and help you guys out if you want for supplies and things like that. Just let me know if that's something you would like. So anyway, it is round, but it is the right size for my stone. So I will alter this once I solder it on to fit the oval. When you're a custom jeweler, you do a lot of that. You do buy things, of course, correct, but then a lot of times you use what you have and modify it to fit and work with what you got. So I am a bit of a stingy person. I want to make everything perfect, of course, but I always try to use materials that I have as well. So I'm going to show you a solder. A lot of these are very complicated soldering techniques that I'm going to be showing you. Like usually to solder a big piece like that and a small piece to it, it is actually pretty difficult. So I'm going to show you my tips and tricks on how to do that. Let me move you in a little bit here. All right. Let's see. Can you see that? Okay. And here it is. All right. So what you would do in order to not have a meltdown is when we heat our item, we're going to heat the whole big piece, all right, because the little piece will heat by association. So we'll heat it up a little real quick, and then what we'll do is only put the torch on the bigger, heavier pieces because I made this flower out of a heavier gauge metal in order to have some room to texture and to carve into it to give it some life and some breadth. So it's going to be fun how I put this on. Now, what you want to do with solder is you don't want a bunch of solder on the outside, okay? Because then you'll see that it's hard to clean up. What I do in a situation like this is I will drop a nice sized solder bead on the inside so that when it melts and spreads, it'll spread out onto this area as well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to show you how to do that on this piece. The assembly of this is going to be a little difficult and will take quite a bit of time, but I'll show you how to solder on this one, and then I will probably assemble it on my own and show you it in stages. Okay, and then we'll do the setting, the cleanup, all sorts of things together, but I'm going to give you this demonstration. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is we always want to keep the fire separate from the boric acid. We do not want anything near, this is literally a fuel source and is highly, highly flammable. That's what we like about it for this application, but we don't want that. We don't want anybody to get hurt. If this were to catch on fire, you would have a serious problem. So what you do is you keep it as far away from the flame as possible. You apply this solution first, then you close the lid and you move it far out of the way before you start soldering. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. First, actually, I'm going to clip some little pieces of solder. So since this is our first assembly, we're going to want to use hard solder because you always go with the harder solders first. And then as the piece grows and gets more complicated, you can use easy at the end so that when you heat it to affix later pieces, the rest of it will not fall apart. Okay, so I'm going to use my solder snips. I don't know if you can see on here these little bitty, do you see where it's got little pieces cut out? So I actually only cut just what I need. I just cut a couple little pieces out. Now I'll designate a corner on my fire brick here. One will be easy, and I'll keep all my easy solder clips on this side, and this side is always hard. I keep all of those, and the reason why is I need to know what piece of solder has what application. So if you put it all together in the middle, they get all confused and you have no idea. So I'm going to cut a couple pieces. I'm going to put them on the right-hand side because for me on my bench, this is my hard corner. And you can use the same corner as me if you want. Maybe just while you're learning, you know, when we do a class or something together, that way you won't get confused if I'm grabbing from one side and you're not. So I've got 3 little pieces cut out here. Can you see those, guys? Can you see how small they are? Here, I'll show you. I'll get a little one and pull it up to show you how tiny this guy is. Sometimes they flip. See how tiny that is? That's all we need. Now, because this is a large head, and we're going to have a good bit of base, I'm going to use all 3 of these and put them in there and then, you know, drop them on the inside of the head here. So, because we'll need it to, what we're going to do is melt it, and it'll kind of, we're going to melt it and it's going to just kind of suck out the sides, and we'll see it be solid all the way around. It's going to be really cool. And it goes pretty quick too if you do it properly. All right, so I'm going to, let's see. Actually, I think we need to sand this piece really quickly. What I like to do is use a fine sandpaper. As you can see here, this is a 400 grit. It's very fine. I'm going to pull out, this is a little armrest here, if you can see that. And I'm going to take my flour, because I don't like all these, you know, rough edges. We sanded the side edges, but we didn't take off the rough ones there. So can you see that there? I'm trying to see on the, yeah, you can. So what I'm going to do is push it down, and I'm going to push it back and forth on the top. I can't grab it. On the top of this sandpaper, just to knock those little edges off real quick. Because again, I like to pre-polish. I like to pre-sand. I like to make things as easy as possible for finishing time, because you will see that can be very complicated. Okay, so here's my flour. I think I like this side the best. So what I'm going to do is do the opposite side first as far as coating it. Okay, so I'm going to take my solution, and I've got a little brush in here, and I'm just going to use a little bit, and I'm going to brush a little of the solution on one side, as you can see, and then I'm going to take a tweezer and flip it over. And you do not want to get this all over, you guys. You want to be pretty careful with it, okay? And I am going to get some on the head here, and then some on this front side. This is the side we're going to solder to. I'm going to put the lid back on, screw it on tight, and put it far away from our soldering area. Now what I'm going to do is quickly light my torch, and I'm going to do this so maybe you can see it. You turn on just a little bit of the gas, just a tiny bit. Now I haven't worked it today, so I got to prime it real quick. Turn it on low. And I'm going to use my clicker, which I will show you another time how to do it. it's got too much gas on there. We're going to turn it down just a little. Get it to go. There we go. Okay, you see? And then that's the gas, and I will turn on the oxygen. And then I'm going to light these guys. And do you see how they kind of catch on fire? Did you see that? It's kind of hard to see. But what it does is it turns, the fire burns down, and it turns that solution white. You see, it's like a real fine white powder. That's what we want. Okay, and then see, I am bringing down, I'm making this a nice hot flame. It looks like there's some stuff in my torch tip. So I'm going to relight it real quick. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to clean that end out. Probably just got some residue on it from the last time I soldered with it. Okay. I'm going to turn on the gas just a little. My hands, again, are weak because I have, kind of a carpal tunnel thing going. So I'm using the stand to help me light it so I can, there we go. At work I have an automatic lighter, so it's not as bad. All right, so I will turn on a little bit of gas, and I will give it a little bit of oxygen. I'll bring it down to a nice hot tip, a nice hot flame, and it turns itself off again. Doggone it, hold on a second, I gotta get it cleaned out, I think. Run the oxygen. I haven't ran it yet today. All right, let's try this again. Nothing's perfect. Fun, right? I think I'm going to get an automatic clicker for the house. There we go. This is a flint clicker, and you just need a lot of strength. I have to use 2 hands. So. All right, so here's my flame. I'm going to turn it down a little. All right, get it nice and hot. Hopefully this is a hot enough tip. If not, we'll have to get another one. Different tip. Okay, maybe I should turn the light off. Can you see this a little better now without the big light on? Okay, so here's what we do is we will start heating the little flower just a little bit and hit that just a little bit. So now what we're going to need to do is use some flux. So I put the flux on, and again that will burn clean, and I'm going to put it on the surfaces that are going to touch each other. So I'm going to put it on the underneath of this head. Can you see that, honeys? Do you see that? Okay, do you see how it turned white? Do you see that? Is that white coating? Now watch this. It's going to bubble up in the middle. Do you see how it has a white coating on the inside of that flower? That's the flux. Now, as it heats up more, it's going to turn clear. You just have to be careful not to melt down the head. Okay. So there we go. It's going to bubble up some more. Get nice and hot. And it kind of turns clear. Now, you can see right there, it's protecting that center area. You see that? From turning black from the fire scale. So from my picture, I have this side up. Oh, my torch turned off. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having technical difficulties at home today. Here we go. Give me a second. There, we got it. Okay. Okay, get a little more fire going. It's just not wanting to, there we go. Come on, guy. All right, there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, I don't know that you can see very well, but I'm going to take these little pieces of solder and I'm going to ball them up. When you heat it up, it melts. Let's see if you can see it. Do you see how it turns into little balls? Can you see that? I'm a new YouTuber, so I'm going to learn how to take good pictures for you guys. But that's what happened, okay? It turned into these little balls. And what we're going to do is we're going to invert the head. I want it to be these 3. This one here will be at the top. There, it did it again, you guys. I don't know what's happening. I think I need another tip, maybe. It's a little too big, though. This one to be sure we're not running out of gas here. I don't think so. I can smell it, so it's not good. Okay, let's try this again. Come on now. All right. I think my tip is probably a little dirty. Okay, so what we're gonna do is have this head so that when it's facing up, these two prongs here will be on either side of this petal. We're gonna get it in the middle as best we can. That's why I left these flat. A lot of times it's fun to sculpt something before you put it together, but because of the way we're going to be assembling this, I needed to have it flat for this bigger head. Okay, so next I'm going to take these little balls now that it's where it's supposed to be and it's been heated. So the flux is they've kind of melted and attached to each other. I'm going to drop these little balls in here. And they get away from you sometimes. Come here, you. Drop them in there. Okay, it looks like it's right. I can see on the inside that the three little balls are in the inside. I don't know that you can see it from there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're not going to heat the head itself. It's going to get hot by association. What we're going to do is heat all these little petals all the way around. And they're going to turn nice and hot because we have the charcoal reflecting the heat back up into it. So I'll use this hand so you can see it. I'm usually solder with my left, but okay, so what I'm doing is hitting all these little petals. See that? And the center where the solder is hitting is going to get hot pretty shortly. But the hottest thing is where the solder goes. The solder follows the heat. So if we get the head too hot, it'll flow right up onto the head and not get onto the base of the flower. There we go. We want it on the inside base of the flower. And the solder, it's starting to melt even, getting so hot, has now gone around the base of the head. And it's now on. I'm going to turn this off. So we turn off the green first, the oxygen, then we turn off the propane. Okay? Let's see this guy now. See how it's turned black? But look, you see where we had the flux, how it's white, the lighter there? Do you see that? This is soldered on. The solder has gone from the inside. It's gone now. It's melted. Where's the best way to show you this? It's gone. The whole thing is now one solid piece. Okay, so we'll let it cool for a minute and then we will stick it in the pickle. And what the pickle will do, we don't want it anywhere near the fuel. The pickle we're going to have to use our copper tongs. Copper tongs are the only thing that can go into pickle, unless you have plastic ones, but it can't be anything steel because steel is a ferrous metal. It contains, steel, it's iron, and it has a chemical reaction with your pickle. So what happens is it plates it pink. Do you see how it's getting some pink on there? You don't want that. So this will actually eat off all the fire scale and turn it white. And so here in a little bit, I will show you. I might have to mix some new pickle eventually because that might be getting a little weak. But you get the idea. You soldered something together. It goes quick. If you have everything correct, if you do it properly, if you follow the same procedure and you're able to, prevent fire scale, it goes really quickly. It really does. So I would like to show you on this video, you didn't get to see the design that we're making. So let me pull all these little guys off to kind of keep them in order. Let's go together as a group. These go together as a group, as do these heads. All right, and all the pieces that we cut out. This is for the bud. Actually, that's the bud, and this is a leaf. The bud goes together. Stems, another flower, and here is the picture. This is the picture. This is the brooch we're going to create. Okay, we're going to have tourmaline up here, the pretty pink tourmaline. And here will be a collection of 3 different tourmalines. There's the bud. And within the leaves, I'm probably going to have a CZ up here, the CZ down there, and maybe one over here. So it's a nice white sparkle like a diamond. And then we'll have the pinks and the greens and the tourmalines within the center of the flowers. And that'll be beautiful. And when you're decorating, when you're doing a composition, odd numbers are really best. They look best. So we're going to have one big one here, and here we're going to have 3. We're going to have 3 different stones in the center here, and then 1, 2, 3 for our CZs. And it has a very pleasing look when you do it that way. So stay tuned. Come back for the next video. I'll have things prepped and ready and hopefully fairly assembled so that you can see the sculpting phase. And that'll be fun. So we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for coming to Passing the Torch with Stuff the Jeweler.